You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Well, the Braves hit the road, and they got off to a great start out in Arlington, Texas, as they doubled up the Rangers tonight by a 6-3 final score. It was a great all-around game, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about here on the Braves POSTCAST, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. I'm Grant McAuley. He's Jake Mastroianni. We're going to get into everything that went right for the Braves, and there was an awful lot of it. And, of course, we'll get you set for Game 2 of the series, which will be coming your way on Saturday. Before we get into all of that, I want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe here to the Locked On Sports Atlanta YouTube page. Make sure you click the bell, get all those notifications every time we drop a new episode, and be sure to be subscribed to the Locked On Braves podcast for every episode of this postcast and everything Jake has coming your way all season long. We got you covered here on Locked On Braves and, of course, Locked On Sports Atlanta. So with all of that out of the way, it was a great night for Atlanta as far as sports are concerned, as they went out to the state of Texas, a place where they, oddly enough, had played a playoff game before they ever played a regular season game, thanks to the very odd 2020 season. But Jake, I would imagine they felt pretty good about their first taste of baseball in the Lone Star State in the year 2022. And their last taste of baseball in the Lone Star State in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, was also pretty good.
Yeah, no, maybe it's where they need to stay out there. A great start to the road trip, certainly getting that going well, and not having Ronald Acuna Jr. in the lineup, and still being able to produce and come through with a win, as we both kind of talked about when we first got on here. So yeah, always great to get a road trip started off with a good win.
Yeah, it was, and all wins, I think, for the Braves here in the early part of the season are going to be a good win as long as you get through the game healthy, and they're going to start winning, I feel like, and getting Ronald back. Even if you didn't have him on this particular night, you're starting to, I think, feel the Braves coming together overall. We saw a good start from Ian Anderson. That was something that was one of our keys to the game when we talked about it yesterday, seeing his consistency or his ability to be able to battle through those little bouts where things seem to maybe start to get a little sideways on him. I thought Ian did a great job with that. You had the offense. They clubbed 4 more home runs in this game. The Braves now tied for the National League lead in home runs, just one off the Major League lead of the New York Yankees, which about a third of their home runs have been hit by one guy. But the Braves are spreading them around a little bit, 4 of them in this game, and 3 of those 4 came from, I would say, unlikely sources, or just not the usual suspects anyway, as you had Travis Demeritte with his inside the Parker, and he got 2 home runs from William Contreras, and of course, Austin Riley. If you're going to go out to Texas, a guy named Austin should hit a home run, right, Jake?
That's absolutely right. And it was a great home run, and he had another laser shot
Mm-hmm.
later in the game as well. So great to see Austin staying hot, because right now Olsen and Ozuna, kind of have cooled off a little bit. So it's good to see Riley kind of pick up the slack there. But yeah, Travis Demeritte inside the park home run, first one since 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dansby Swanson's first home run, I believe it was. I don't know what that route was by Adolis Garcia in center field, but led to a beautiful moment there. Yeah. And the home runs by William Contreras, the first one on a 3-0 pitch, which you talked about 3-0 pitches the night before with Matt Olson that I wasn't particularly a fan of, but this was a 3-0 pitch. Kid was sitting on it, not in the zone, fastball down and in, and he just absolutely turned on it. His second home run was a changeup up and out of the zone, and he turned on it as well. So I'm thinking this kid likes pitches inside based on what I saw tonight. But great for him to get up and get that home run, get to play in this game. And he's probably going to get another shot or two here over the next week or so with Manny Pena out.
Yeah, I would think so. Of course, Manny Pena landing on the injured list, thus necessitating William Contreras coming back up. Of course, he made the opening day roster, went back down to Gwinnett, but Pena is still dealing with some inflammation in his left wrist, and we'll see how long he is sidelined. But in the meantime, another opportunity for William Contreras. Also, an opportunity for us to tell you about how this game lined up on the line score. Game number 21 for the Braves, who pick up the win. They're now 10-11 on the season, chance to get back to 500 with another win on Saturday. 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors, 9 men left on base. Rangers now 6-14, just 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, 5 men left aboard. Ian Anderson, the winner, now 2-1. Garrett Richards, the loser, as the opener for the Rangers. He gave up the Austin Riley home run, and thus he will drop to 0-1 on the season. Kenley Jansen came in, handled the 9th inning, and converted his 6th save in as many tries. A game that lasted 3 hours and 23 minutes, and a crowd of 25,829 were on hand to see it. And Jake, I don't know if you had the same broadcast feed that I did, but I would say a large contingent of that almost 26,000 fans there at Globe Life Field might have had a rooting interest for the Braves.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I could definitely tell it on my broadcast. It seemed like it was very Braves happy, especially with some of those replay calls.
Yeah.
You could definitely hear the Braves fans shout out on those.
Yeah, you certainly could. And we got a lot to get into as far as the top performers of the game. We've just begun to touch on some of the highlights in this one. But before we go any further, I want to let you know to this Mother's Day, give mom something that she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off their $500 purchase. An exclusive deal only good through Mother's Day if you use the code Locked On. That's the code Locked On for every order that is shipped to you. It is going out free. It is insured. It arrives in discreet packaging. It won't give away what's inside. So you can shop stress-free and find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. So inside of this box score, we find all kinds of fun and very good performances for the Braves on a night, as you touched on, where Ronald Acuna Jr. was not in the lineup. His replacement in this game was Travis Demeritte, who started in right field. He singled to lead off the game. He scored on the Riley home run the next time up. A line drive to center field that was not expertly played by Adolis Garcia turned into an inside the park home run for him. I would say that of all the ways that Ron Washington could celebrate a birthday, getting the windmill going for an inside the park home run has to be up there.
Yeah, certainly. And he was giving it to him. It didn't really matter how close it might have been and ended up not being that close. He was getting the wave home. Wash was sending him.
Yeah, and he did, and he made it, and it was not particularly close as Demeritte. He's a pretty good base runner. He's shown that as one of the many tools that he has, and he's showing the Braves a lot here, Jake, because as we talked about, I mean, Alex Dickerson didn't get off to a hot start, but when the Braves brought him in, there was a role where they wanted a veteran left-handed hitter to be at least some kind of a contributor to their bench, or perhaps at some point, maybe getting a start in the outfield. But that plan really seemed to change over the last few days because Travis Demeritte, he's got the ability to play on the outfield corners. You could probably press him into duty somewhere else if you needed to, because he does have infield in his experience. But hitting at the big league level, that's something he struggled with a little bit in his first look at major league pitching with Detroit a couple of years ago. But I think he has gone through his minor league route the past couple of years and really just redefined himself as a hitter and refined himself as a hitter. And we're seeing some of the fruits of that labor here in his early returns with the Braves. He's making the most of this opportunity.
Yeah, I think we talked about it off air a little bit the other night too, that I was a little surprised that they designated Alex Dickerson for assignment just because of that need for a left-handed bat, especially with Eddie Rosario out. The easy thing to do could have been to just send Travis Demeritte back down. He has the option. They could have done that, but it just shows you the level of confidence I think they have in him right now, not only to keep him up and DFA, a need and a left-handed bat and Alex Dickerson, but now he's batting in Ronald Acuna Jr.'s spot. They have him in the leadoff spot. I think that tells you a lot about how Brian Snitker and the Braves staff feels about Travis Demeritte and how far along he has come. You talk about the hits. There was that big walk the other night he had to load the bases before Dansby Swanson's big moment there. That was a key at bat. So yeah, much better at bats. I think he struck out a couple of times tonight.
Sure.
He's going to have that. That's part of his game, but making consistent hard contact, the running ability. We talked about the catch he made in foul ground the other night, covering ground there. And now you see the inside the park home run. So clearly he has some wheels as well. So yeah, showing a little bit of everything. And again, just taking advantage of this opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I could believe seeing him in that leadoff spot. That to me, if more than anything else, showed they have a lot of confidence in him right now.
Yeah, they're going to take this opportunity and help him, put him in a position to perhaps make the most of it by just showing a little bit of faith in him. And that can really energize a player. And I do think that's something that the Braves and Brian Snitker do fairly well when it comes to trying to give those opportunities and find times to give somebody those at bats. It may not seem like it makes a ton of sense on some days, but on other times or later on, you start to see that, hey, by showing faith in these players and kind of building up that side of it, that over the course of 162 can mean an awful lot by the time you add it all up. As we look at some of the other top performers for the Braves, we talked about Ian Anderson. He was solid. 6 innings of 2-run ball, 1 home run allowed, only 2 walks, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts for him. I thought he was really able to navigate through this start extremely well. This may be one of, if not his best start of the year, I believe, at this point in terms of just being able to put quite a few things together. And hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of that because the Braves are going to need him to get things going and give them some consistency every time through the rotation. As I mentioned, the Braves have 28 home runs on the year now, 6 apiece now from Austin Riley, who homered to get the Braves on the board, and Ozzie Albies. Those guys are tied for second in the National League in home runs behind C.J. Cron of the Colorado Rockies and 3 off the lead of Anthony Rizzo, who has been slugging quite a bit for his team, the New York Yankees. But it's good to see Albies in that middle of that order. And even though on a night Ronald Acuna Jr. sat, they kind of kept some consistency there. I think that was another one of the reasons why Travis Demeritte got that opportunity was let's not upset the apple cart every time Ronald Acuna Jr. comes out of the lineup.
Yeah, and it's been a big thing for me. I've been pretty vocal about it in the past. Ozzy Albies is not a leadoff batter. He does not need to be in the leadoff spot. So I was glad to see they left him there.
Mhm.
And even though he's not hitting the ball particularly well lately, he walked 3 times tonight.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that's happened too many times
I
in
can
his
tell you.
career. That's good. Like you said, I'm glad they kept that consistency. Leave him there. Let him do
Mhm.
what he does, drive in runs, hit home runs. 13 strikeouts on the night for this offense, but 9 hits and 7 walks. And you already mentioned
Yeah.
4 home runs.
Mhm.
That is this offense. They're going to strike out, but they're also going to hit the ball really hard. They're going to hit home runs. And luckily tonight they were taking their walks as well. So good to see this offense kind of getting back to where they usually are, where I think they will be. And then a note on Ian Anderson, just really quickly,
Mhm.
16 balls in plays against him tonight. 13 of those were on fastballs. I thought the Rangers were really aggressive on him trying to jump on that fastball. And he had an average exit velocity against of 94.3 miles per hour, which seems really bad. He had 10 hard hit balls against him, but you look deeper into that, 8 of those had a negative exit velocity.
Yep.
He got 12 ground outs tonight. No fly balls, no fly outs. He had 1 pop out in foul territory. So he was doing a good job with that changeup curveball, getting it down, and players getting on top of that. So that's what I thought he did a really good job of tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have an exit velocity that's up in the mid 90s and above. It's another thing if that launch angle is sending the ball straight down into the ground because the Braves fielders were up to the task of turning those ground balls into outs on this night. So nice job by Ian Anderson utilizing his defense. He lost the feel, I think, for his changeup for a little while. So that might have been one of the reasons he was a little bit more fastball heavy at times, or at least for certain batters and maybe a few batters, maybe a couple of innings that he was just trying to kind of work through that in the early going. But he was able to get all settled in. As far as other big performances in this game, we can't not mention William Contreras, who gets the opportunity with Manny Pena out, as we mentioned earlier, 2 home runs, his first multi-home run game of his career. And because you asked, and because I know that you might love Braves trivia as much as I do, or somebody listening out there might, Ozzy Albies 3-walk games don't happen very often. Last time it happened was April 14th of 2021. Prior to that, way back in his first full season of 2018. It's the only 3 times in his career
Wow.
that he has had a 3-walk game. So, on a night that he wasn't in the leadoff spot, he was drawing his walks. He was in the middle of the order, but he was doing some things, getting on base. I think that's certainly good to see. And I would love to see Ozzy be able to elevate his walk rate just a bit so that his on base percentage is always sitting in that 350 to 360 and above range. It makes him such a more complete hitter when he's able to really dial in his strike zone, take those walks when that's what they're giving him, and get on base and just let the next guy do what they're going to do. And on this night, the Braves had quite a few guys chipping in with the 4 home runs, 2 of them by William Contreras, 1 by Austin Riley, and that inside the Parker by Travis Demeritte. We're going to get you ready for game 2 of 3 against the Rangers as the Braves and the Texas Ball Club will meet again on Saturday night. Before we do that, though, betonline.net is your number 1 source for betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the Major League Baseball action, just like the Braves and Rangers. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. BetOnline.net, where the game starts. So let's turn the page. Game 2 against the Texas Rangers. We'll see the Texas native Bryce Elder on the mound. He's 1-2, ERA of 4.30 in his brief major league career. Dane Dunning will get the ball for the Rangers. 0-1 this year, ERA just under 5. Keys to victory for Bryce Elder and the Braves tomorrow, I would say, much like Ian Anderson, it is command the strike zone for Bryce Elder. That's going to be what he needs to do to establish himself in this game.
Yeah, pivotal start for Bryce Elder, in my opinion. If he doesn't, start to get the command back on track, I think we could, see him potentially start to lose a grip on that spot, that 5th spot in the rotation. But I think he can do it. I certainly hope that he does. I certainly love the long-term future of Bryce Elder in this rotation, but certainly the key for him, controlling those pitches in the strike zone, creating that weak contact, just like he did in his first outing for the Braves. And as he has done in his other outings as well, it's just the command's lost him at times. And one thing we know, he can get out of trouble. Hopefully he avoids getting in too much trouble in this one. And hopefully the Braves offense can continue to hit the home run ball and take advantage of a young pitcher trying to establish themselves at the big league level in Dane Dunning.
Yeah, and you know that the Rangers have a hitter in Corey Seager, who we have known very well over time. We knew we weren't going to get out of here without him doing something in this series. He homered in the opener, but if he's hitting the home runs when the Braves have a 4 or 5 run lead late in the game and it's solo shots, well, then I guess Corey Seager can have those solo shots. But for Bryce Elder and for the Braves, I mean, really being able to command the strike zone and frustrate Rangers hitters like the Braves pitching staff did in Game 1 will be the order of the day. So it's Elder against Dunning in Game 2 of 3 at Globe Life Field, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. First pitch for the Braves and Rangers as they clash in the middle contest of this 3-game series. Thanks for joining us here on the Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. We want to make sure you subscribe on YouTube and, of course, the Locked On Braves podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. He's Jake Mastroianni. I'm Grant McAuley. It was a great night for the Braves out in Arlington as they pick up a nice 6-3 victory over the Texas Rangers. That'll do it for us tonight. Once again, your final score, it was the Braves 6, the Rangers 3. We will catch you tomorrow on another edition of the Locked On Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. Until then, so long, everyone.